Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the news. Today's Friday. It's September 17th, and we're doing robot, space, and nonsense.
Robot and space have been merged, in case you weren't here for that.
Yeah,
Robots
it's a new category.
in space.
And our first article will involve both robots and space.
Oh.
This is a robot we have seen before, but it turns out he only bonded with one astronaut. And when that guy left the space station, he's just been in storage since then. But they've decided to give him some new software.
Astronauts in space will soon resurrect an AI robot friend called CIMON. This time, CIMON will be a smarter space robot because it was really just annoying and dumb before.
There's a big Mac vibe coming off of Simon, isn't there?
Yeah.
He kind of reminds me of like a Tamagotchi.
Oh, yeah.
It basically is. Yeah, something to give the astronauts something to do so they don't go insane.
Some endorphins.
Yeah, he's going to talk to them. Now, he does have some access to some really good AI, but I don't know where the processing is taking place. They point out that when you're an astronaut, you got to do things by the book, obviously, or you might die. And Simon, one of his things he'll do is he'll keep you on track. Instead of having a clipboard with a checklist, you've got Simon. He just floats there, tells you what to do.
With his stupid face.
I know what I'm doing, Simon. Did you take the screwdriver?
Yeah, I hope he always has that like slightly happy face on while he's telling you what to do.
There's an oxygen leak.
I think you could have replaced 4 bolts the last hour. Try again.
He will also be bonding with a new astronaut.
Well, that's what they think, but he's still heartbroken for the last one.
Bill would have done that better.
He says it, but then he frowns. Just for a second, though.
And flying cows. Hey, you might think those aren't real, but they are. And they're currently flying over top of Louisiana because a weather event happened there.
Take a look at AT&T's Flying Cows, drones that return cell service to a Hurricane Ida hit Louisiana. I don't know why they didn't use weather balloons, but these things do a lot more than just provide cell tower service. They also have infrared cameras and can assist in rescue operations, things like that, but they're tethered, and they provide cell service over a large area.
Have they gotten electric back yet? Like, I've heard it's still pretty bad in parts of like New Orleans.
I remember when it first happened, they said it could be months.
I heard a month. Like, they were saying at least a month to get electric back to the city. I don't know about some of the communities around it, but...
Well, it's going to be many months before those cell towers are back up.
Yeah.
We got to get a picture. Go over there and do something with it. What are we going to do? Just touch it.
Just pet it.
Stick your fingers in the propellers.
But yeah, like you mentioned, not just infrared, thermal imaging and super, super high resolution, like quadrant-based imaging and tracking. I don't think these are up there just to give us internet.
No.
I think there might be an ulterior motive.
Again, Google already figured this out with their weather balloon thing, and it seems like that would be, a tethered balloon is less things to break.
But the balloon, the way it worked is it rode the thermals.
Yes.
But you can't do that with if you're tethered, right?
Right.
So.
Well, no, you could ride the thermals if you're tethered. I mean, that would be fine. But you couldn't pilot it. It might go somewhere that you don't need it.
Well, but I think the tether would, if you hit a bad patch, the tether would have a hard time keeping it because the thermals kept it floating, right?
It could go up and down, which I guess could mess with it a little bit. Or it could like drift away off to one side.
What if you're tracking that dissident with your thermal imaging and all of a sudden it drifts?
Yeah,
you can't have that.
Yeah, you can't pilot things. And
Actually,
now we know.
Actually, I think you just hit on the reason that they did that.
Yeah, that's not good. That's a little disturbing.
Here's a question that we've seen in several courts. They all went the same way, except Australia. They went a different way, which is weird because now the U.S. has finally weighed in.
Only humans, not AI machines, get a U.S. patent, a judge says. So this person invented a bunch of software that could invent things and figure things out. And so it's like, well, that should really have the patent. And it's like, no, our legal system's not set up to deal with that. Corporations are people, but we're not set up to handle an AI having a patent.
So can a corporation get a patent?
Yeah, they sure can. Well, it's funny. The way it works with corporations is the people in the company get the patent and then immediately assign it to the company.
Yeah, so technically, this kind of violates that?
Well, you could, if you incorporated the AI, then you could assign it to the AI. That's how you'd have to do it.
Wow.
That would be a way to steal. Well, they're already stealing the inventions of all their employees, so I guess it's not different. Up on Mars, We got some drilling going on, and unlike last time, it seems to have gone well.
Perseverance has persevered, and the rover has successfully cored its first rock on Mars. There's a nice picture of it. It's a nice seafoam green and yellow. Maybe I'm reading too much into the colors.
This one isn't a geode.
It's a good-looking hole. Now, again, like last time, they are not sure about the payload. There's definitely some rocks back in there, though.
Yeah, it does look like they got something.
But they're still looking at the payload. I guess whenever they hit the routine, the subroutine that pulls that back in and stores it long term, there's no coming back from that.
Now, what's the plan for getting this thing analyzed?
Well, so it's going to lock it away in its body, and it's kind of like a little vault type of thing. And we expect that someday we'll come and find it. So it's just going to sit and wait.
So we need an interplanetary extraction mission. All right.
Imagine you're an alien and you crash land on Mars, and you're like, "Oh, a robot! I bet it's got survival supplies inside of it." And you spend hours and hours taking it apart, and it's rocks.
Just
Full
a
of,
rock.
and they're Mars rocks, just like
You
all
try
the
to
other
eat
ones.
It's like those Earthlings, those cruel jokers.
I'll destroy their planet if it's the last thing I do. Have you guys seen all the GIFs of the robot vacuums that happen upon some dog poop?
Yes.
And then it's just everywhere.
They're horrific and hilarious. I love the ones where you can see the map of the movement on the floor in poop gradient.
Yeah.
By the time it gets to the end, it's just a tiny film. Well, apparently that is a very common problem, and iRobot has tried to figure it out.
Robot vacuum cleaner has been trained to avoid pet poop.
You don't like how they spelled it
Oh, I
there?
hate the spelling of
Yeah.
British feces. Faeces.
The Fae put it there.
So I don't know why we're not getting pictures, BBC.com.
It's broken.
Oh, there it goes.
There it is.
Hey.
Yeah, so apparently the vision system can identify poop, and there was something else, right? Some other horrible thing that it could dodge.
Hedgehog corpses is the headline.
Well, so there is a robot lawnmower,
Oh.
and it was trained to dodge hedgehogs, but it seems the empirical evidence is it's not very good at it,
Oh. To be fair, neither are humans.
as indicated by the hedgehogs.
You'd think that the hedgehogs would learn to avoid the giant, loud, whirling blade cutter thing.
I often wonder that about the bugs that rain down on me while I'm mowing.
Oh,
like-
yeah.
Could you guys not have had just a moment of forethought there? You knew I was coming. This is not really a piece of news, but it does raise some interesting questions. And we talked before the pandemic, there was a lot of talk about what's going to happen to jobs because of automation. And the big players and the tech companies, the powers that be, everybody had the same answer. Don't worry. That'll be fine. And now here we are.
Do we even need humans for that job? Automation booms after the global bad situation, according to AP News.
Service industry is where they are breaking into. Of course, we've heard of Pepper. Remember Pepper?
Oh, yeah.
Flippy.
And there was the robot that patrolled for loitering. Remember that guy?
Yeah.
He looked like a Dalek.
I'm really looking forward to restaurants where you can just sit down at the table and queue up what you want, and they'll bring it to you, and you don't have to worry about like the waiters coming back to refill your drink or whatever.
Yeah, and drive-through is a big one that we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you see? I forgot to put the story in there. I saw it late last week. They will now give you a sticker at some McDonald's, and you put it on the front of your car like you put your insurance stuff, and you're like if you park in a residential parking spot, so you put it in that little corner. It's your McDonald's order, and when you drive through, you don't have to do anything. But you
Wow.
always get the same order.
Nice.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, it's
Also, here's a crazy statistics from that story. Something like 85% of the people that go to McDonald's always order the same thing.
I would believe that.
Do you do that?
Hence the sticker. No, I mix it up a little bit, but it
I
is.
have certain things that I prefer.
Yeah,
You might have to get 3 stickers.
Yeah.
But then you're going to swap them out.
yeah. I was like, oh, this sticker. Oh no, I accidentally got the wrong meal. Oh no. No, it's not. It's not just that kind of thing. That actually makes things more efficient. Like it's less overhead and less complicated to just be like, this is what I want. There's less opportunity for mistakes.
But it eliminates a human.
But
I mean, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah,
If that guy is not taking drive-through orders, he might be robbing your house.
that would be a problem.
Yeah.
I was hoping that he would get a job as a plumber and electrician or something instead.
You think there's a lot of movement between McDonald's and plumber?
I think there has been after the thing. I think people, they had that stimmy money and they were like, well, screw this. I'm going to go get some training while I'm not scrambling for rent.
It cracks me up when I drive by the Sonic, because the Sonic every week escalates its attempts to hire people. They have more signs. They're offering more. That's like just whatever. You know what? You could walk in here naked. We'll interview you for a job.
They've shut down the car park. It's a drive-through only now because they don't have enough people to run the car park area.
Wow. They got no skaters.
Nope. No, they don't have people to just walk out there. They're like, you don't even have to skate. You just walk to the car and get their order. They can't do it.
That's crazy. I'm sure it's a soul-crushing job, though, right?
I'll say, especially when it starts to get cold, like having to go out and take orders in the cars.
I was always impressed when they would skate out, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, you don't have to do this.
Yeah.
I'm buying a $4 burger.
You don't need to risk an injury to your ankles here.
Well, there's another lawsuit that hasn't been settled, but also every time this has come up, and it comes up constantly, obviously, because there's a lot of, empirical evidence that this is happening. But every time it comes up, we have one group that offers absolute proof that it is happening, and then we have the industry group which claim to offer absolute proof that it's not happening. They can't both be true.
Lawsuits say Siri and Google are listening even when they're not supposed to. So this is 2 different times, I guess, these people have evidence that their smart device recorded a conversation improperly, and that may have been shared with third parties. They don't know. It seems like it's just triggering the device to listen, like it mishears the key phrase or something. It's going to be interesting to follow this lawsuit and see how it shapes out.
We should remember that Amazon they did have a program where your anonymized voice commands were being sent to a third party and parsed to see how good the AI was at understanding them. And if it was bad, those people would correct it. They got in trouble for that, and they stopped it for about 3 months. Now it's back.
Yeah. Well, it's been back for the whole time, basically.
But right now it is currently running, I believe.
Now, when you say they stopped it for 3 months, it means that they built up 3 months of backlog, which was also sent to the...
Probably.
So it's not really like it was stopped. They just paused it and were like, are we sure we want to do this? And the answer was yes.
They didn't have any humans looking at it, but they were still harvesting it. Yes, I'm sure.
Woo!
And the voice recognition got 0.001% worse during that month.
Yeah.
And someone lost their job.
Well, that was like $17 million of Bezos' money. Come on.
And you could use that $17 million to go to space with SpaceX. And now we know a little bit more about that experience.
SpaceX shows off its huge dome window on a Dragon for private Inspiration 4 flight. So this is just a guy on a backdrop. They haven't actually gone to space yet. This is the nose cone. So the nose cone of the rocket actually opens like a hatch. And then it's this thing, and
Yeah, you can look at... It's like a Pez dispenser, but for you to look out into space.
What do you think the open close time is on that?
In space, probably like a minute.
What if you're looking out of your beautiful little window there, and all of a sudden you see little spidering cracks?
Oh.
And then it's slowly going close.
You feel yourself lifting toward the window as the air is sucked out.
I also thought about, whatever this material is, what's its anti-radiation properties? Is it bad that we're losing a lot of metal?
You can only spend 30 seconds looking out the window.
It's like 200 x-rays.
I'd like to go back to the window room, but the eye cancer. And some really, really bad news, maybe more alarming than that spidering crack along the observation window, is when you wake up to this, and this did happen during sleep time.
Space station fire alarm goes off amid smoke and a burning smell in the Russian section. Russian officials claim the alarm went off during a battery charging at the International Space Station. So they woke up and there was a smell of burning electronics and plastic. But it's under control. Everything's good. Don't worry about it.
And they talked about how they ran the filtration system to get the breathable air back to where it needs to be, and then everybody went back to bed.
Yeah.
Are you going to sleep after that?
No.
We'll just turn off the battery charging for now. We'll fix it in the morning.
Even still, I would be a little alarmed.
I actually think
Don't worry about that smoke.
I think I would rather have a lithium ion battery fire in space just because you could eject it into space versus like here on Earth, unless you have a bucket of sand, it's going to burn down whatever it's in.
But you have to get it to the airlock.
Right. And
Yeah.
how much smoke is that going to generate in your living space? And it's like, do we have enough to be able to filter it correctly? And
Probably not.
And you got to do that in zero gravity. Now, that's going to help you in some ways because the battery's going to be heavy. But in other ways, the coordination's not going to be there.
Yeah,
It's on fire. And it's
a-
not a battery fire. You're probably not going to be able to even get within 3 feet of it, right?
I mean, if Power Wash Simulator could be the hot new video game, I'm pretty sure we got the hot new video game. It's like, get the smoking lithium ion off the International
that's Viscera
Space Station.
cleanup detail, but
Save
they didn't
the
have a battery
station.
feature.
They point out that the Russian module has had nothing but problems. Had the hole,
Yeah.
had this. They had another, I think, fire scare or whatever.
I like that they tried to blame that on a U.S. astronaut. It's like, I don't know. I think your shit's just broken.
And then they had the cracks as
Yeah.
well. You got to be brave to be a cosmonaut.
Yeah.
These stories, we see them very often. I usually filter them out, but every once in a while I like to take a look at them because then you'll just never hear from it again. Nothing will happen here and we'll never find out what went with this.
A strange repeating radio signal near the center of the Milky Way has scientists stumped. It's not a fast radio burst or a pulsar or a low mass star. So what in the heavens is it? Engagement challenge.
I'll tell you what it is. It's a black hole strapping on its combat boots.
It's coming
Getting
this way.
ready. It's going to stomp a mud hole in Krista.
It's the distress beacon from Sunshine. It's a scary sound.
Sunshine?
You ever seen that movie? Sci-fi movie. They're in space and they catch a distress beacon near the sun.
Oh, you don't want to pick that up.
No, you don't. No, but they do, and bad things happen.
That's a classic mistake. This one is fun just because just this insane theory, but I can totally understand why people think this.
Maybe you missed it, but the internet, quote unquote, died 5 years ago. So this article says that basically everything on the internet is created by bots and you're not really engaging with any people at all anywhere. And judging by the amount of spam in my email inboxes, I'm inclined to agree.
And the whole idea of like there's human discourse is pretty much gone from forums. It's just arguing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's easier explained by the fact that the worst kind of personality spends all day on forums and just searches for things to engage with.
And people that are willing to have a reasonable argument often go away because the one
Right.
person that sticks around just...
And it's
just
not
awful.
one person.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's dozens of people. There's actually, this is weird, but there's someone like that in the Lord of the Rings subreddits who is just posting crap like that constantly and causing arguments for their users. So much they've been banned from half of the Lord of the Rings subreddits. And now when I see their username, I'm like, oh, it's that guy. But I'm
Yeah.
still reading. Just don't post.
And what if it was a robot the whole time?
It could be. They certainly have bot-like opinions.
This
Use their comment history to train a bot.
this animation is fantastic.
Yeah, I'm mesmerized by it.
The skull really sets it off.
The Atlantic spent some money here. It's nice.
They have good illustrations on the Atlantic. Their design is really nice.
Well, they've got the full article if you want to check that out.
NFTs continue to be just ridiculous, but
Confusing.
this is interesting because this was generated by AI, and I think we should have done this.
Oh, yeah. That would be good.
Geez, this was an easy way to make $24 million.
A bunch of ape NFTs just sold for $24.4 million. So different apes, different backgrounds, different facial expressions, hair, hats, you name it.
That one's a leopard or a giraffe. I don't understand it.
This was a fundraiser for the Ape Yacht Club.
I feel like our one
I don't
foray
think-
into NFTs was
They're not a
great.
nonprofit, are they?
Is that like a Wall Street bets thing? Surely this is just money laundering.
No, Ape Yacht Club is, it's a company, I think. A crypto type enthusiast.
Together, ape strong, smooth brain, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
10,000 apes. Semi-randomly generated. Does that mean that they cut some out? Crypto, I believe in. I think you invest in crypto right now, you have a very decent chance of making a lot of money.
There goes the monetization.
NFT, I'm not sold on at all. I think NFT could easily the bottom could fall out of it.
Yeah.
It's just functionally money laundering.
Yeah, maybe. Although a lot of people say that about crypto. And it's hard to argue the other side. Oh, we have a lot of stories left. We have a new weapon from the Navy. Well, the Navy's really good at coming up with neat new weapons. And I guess they're just out there on the ocean all the time, just thinking stuff up.
Just thinking stuff out.
Yeah, what if we just did something with sound that just totally scrambled your brain?
A new Navy weapon actually stops you from talking. Hearing voices might be the U.S. Navy's new non-lethal weapon. Okay, so what it does is it takes your own voice and plays it back to you in your ears. So
Oh, that is annoying.
as you start talking, you hear yourself talking, but it's, nonsense gibberish.
But they stagger it. So you hear immediate feedback, which is weird because your brain is used to a little bit of a delay. And then you hear even more delayed feedback. And they claim that the effect is so disorienting that everybody who's affected with it just sort of just stops talking. And
I've had that happen on like a phone call where like you can hear yourself on like someone's speakerphone or something.
it stops you.
Yeah, it's very confusing.
Interesting thing. Also, you can fake the source of a sound by bouncing a broadcast sound from this thing off of a surface.
The headline made me think of like the scene from The Matrix where his mouth, gets all weird and gummy. I was like, oh, did they make that?
No, it doesn't work like that.
Oh, it's a bummer.
It's kind of weird that you would think that it would.
I was thinking about the Matrix trailer from earlier when we were talking about that.
Well, crypto, I suggest you get into it. I'm not going to give you any specific trades because you shouldn't trust people who give you specific trades. If that specific trade was that good, why aren't they just doing it themselves? Why do they need to convince you to do it? Because they want to move the market that way. And you should never trust them.
The headline is, the FCA chair urges investors not to take cryptocurrency advice from Kim Kardashian. Level 1 would also like to encourage you not to take cryptocurrency advice from Kim Kardashian.
Really, if they've just got the Kardashian name, probably not a wise investing choice.
I bet it sucks if you're an unrelated Kardashian right now.
Yeah. It's probably sucked for a long time because they've been popular for 10 years?
It is crazy how long they've been around, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, we'd like to do stories about the Catholic Church here whenever they do hypocritical things, which means at least once a week.
This one was funny, though.
Yeah, this is a great one, though, because at some point, something better than God came into this guy's life.
Catholic bishop refuses an exorcism that was offered from the Pope and instead has moved in with his erotic, satanic author lover.
He resigned. I don't really see the problem here. He resigned. It's not like he was doing it at the same time.
But he gave his notice. During that interim time, do you really think he was doing good religious work?
He gave his notice and then he got a memo that was like, "Do you need an exorcism? We're ready to fly you out here so you can have an exorcism."
And he was like, in current times? That's not safe.
Kabbalah has taken courses on sexology. I didn't know that you could take those. Now,
This is Spain.
Here's the question. Did he wait until he was completely extricated from the church to break those vows? Or had he already broken them?
He may have already broken them.
Engagement challenge. What do you think?
Because how do you know that the Satan girl is worth it? What if she just talked a big game, and then when she got there, she was just all thumbs and couldn't get anything done?
He's like, "Oh no, I've made a huge mistake."
He turns the lights on. She's doing stuff to the bedpost. Oops. Oh, the Taliban has taken over Afghanistan, and they formed a government. And it's interesting because the Western media that was decrying these people as monsters not long ago is now treating them like a valid government and saying weird things like this.
The EU has now blasted the Taliban-formed government as neither inclusive nor representative. Well, yeah.
Who could have expected that? She reports on as she's wearing her full head covering. But it wasn't just the EU.
State Department voices concerns over the all-male government there. So
That's the biggest thing to worry about.
Yeah, I feel like they're kind of, missing the forest for the trees, What a weird thing it's not great, but it's not the right thing to focus on.
I would think that the revenge killings
Oh yeah, there's a lot of that happening.
higher on the... Although the Taliban says there have been no revenge killings, and it's all Western media.
I somehow doubt that.
It's interesting. It's very interesting to read their press releases because either we're being lied to in a big way or they're not taking credit for any of the stuff that they've ever done. They're squeaky clean, and
I feel like reality's probably somewhere between those two. extremes.
I'm willing to give I'm rarely willing to give our media much latitude, but in this case, I'm leaning more toward them.
Yeah.
Just based on these guys' past experience with, like the beheadings. That was a big one. There's video evidence of that. Was that the Taliban or was that Al Qaeda? It's so hard to tell them apart. Well, China, in the past, they've spent a lot of money on infrastructure projects that might have been a bad idea, like the ghost cities, for example.
Yeah.
And I think this might be a similar type of situation.
China has built a massive 190-foot statue of a god of war that locals do not like. Now it will cost over $20 million to move this imposing work of art.
Why not just leave it there?
It's enormous.
Because they hate it.
It's a huge work of art. I wonder why they don't like it.
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't be thrilled. I wouldn't be like, yes, I'm so glad we have that. But if it's going to cost that much to get rid of, just leave it. Just leave it.
Yeah. It's not a solid cast
No, I'm sure it's hollow on the inside. Yeah.
So I guess they have to take it all back apart. Is that how you move that?
That would certainly cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
Just leave it.
That would be cool if they just left the head off of it. Or put a different head on it every year.
Oh.
It's the Santa head.
And then it becomes
Hello
like
Kitty?
a festival thing, and then it gets tourism to the community. Then the community likes it.
Oh, man, a SpongeBob head?
There you go.
The SpongeBob dresser. Oh, I know an artist they can contact for that.
You think SpongeBob's big in China? Probably is, right?
Maybe.
Engagement challenge. As if this is getting through the firewall. Well, I've never heard of stealthing. Had you?
I thought this was already illegal.
I understand that people do this, but I didn't know there was a word for it.
I've heard the word.
Huh?
I think it's maybe a younger person word.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is already illegal just about everywhere.
I would say that it should be, but my worry here is how do you prove this?
Yeah, well.
This you could just say this happened, and
Yeah.
does there have to be like an STD or a pregnancy? I doubt it.
I mean, sometimes
I would assume that would be the reason you would probably start to pursue it, right?
But I doubt that's the case. I bet you could just go in and say it happened, and then the proof is on the offender, right?
But
It's not supposed to be.
why would you bother going through the accusation process and then have your own name dragged through the mud?
Because you have nothing better to do.
You remember the Duke story, Krista?
Oh, yeah, that one from a long time ago.
We should do the headline.
California moves to outlaw stealthing or some other things. I don't know. I'm going to err on the side of not angering the algorithm.
Not having protected sex. Pretending to have protected sex.
Yes, the pretending
Removing
part.
it without consent to do the other.
It's like, I agree to these terms that we will do the thing. And then it's like, you broke the terms. That's not just a contract violation. That's probably a felony.
Now, here, Krista, this is feel free to just say, I don't want to talk about this. But I'm very curious here. As a male, the difference between the two would be immediately obvious. Is that not the case for females?
I don't know. I would think you would notice.
Wow,
but
that begs a lot of questions that I'm not going to be able to ask.
yeah.
Well, if you're locked down in New Zealand, New South Wales is New Zealand, right?
Yep.
You are, much like they did in China at the beginning of the pandemic, they're just bringing your groceries and stuff to you because you're not allowed to leave. But they've imposed some rules.
The NSW Health limits residents of lockdown town to 6 beers per day. Listen, sometimes that's just the only way to pass the time.
So I guess the argument here they gave was if you're drunk, you might get unruly and like get out of your containment and spread virus around. Because these are people who have been infected. But that's, I mean, should we not have the autonomy to say, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to try to forget the fact that I'm dying and you've got me locked in this building.
I'm not going to do that. And the first time that I do actually do that is when you can revoke my beer card. I would be okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah, that seems more reasonable.
But
Or there's someone, the other alternative here is that there is someone for whom this law is being made because it's like they've ordered so much beer that they're taking up one intern's entire day.
It is exhausting trying to deal with an unruly drunk.
Yeah.
Now, 6 beers a day, do you take those throughout the day to keep the edge
high
off?
going?
Or do you just pound them all at once at the end of the day and get blind drunk?
I think different people are going to roll different ways.
Yeah, I think if you're an alcoholic, you're probably always keeping that low-key buzz going.
Now, I don't drink alcohol, so 6 beers would absolutely trash me.
Yeah.
But some people can go through 6 beers and not be affected by much.
Hardest working liver in the galaxy.
It's probably, I feel like if you can drink 6 beers without being affected at all, you're probably like borderline alcoholic maybe.
Oh, you're going to get some comments.
You got a tolerance? I mean, like
Also-
my husband's a big guy, but he couldn't drink 6 beers.
But he doesn't drink that often, does he?
Not that often, no. Usually just on the weekend.
There's also, you could get the 750 milliliter liquor instead of the 6 beers. And I got to think if you get one of those every day, even a hardened alcoholic's going to have a hard time drinking through that, right?
Yeah.
Well, Ida happened, and we got some, the usual hilarious hurricane footage. I'm not trying to say that it's hilarious that people died and all that, but you get interesting GIFs. You get the guy with no shirt on with the flag and the wind.
Every time, yeah.
But this is maybe a new one.
North Shore pizza dough blob grows to enormous proportions and overtakes the dumpster post Ida. You can see it poking out of the dumpster there.
They got more pictures.
I wish they'd walked up to. Oh, there we go. There we go.
They're going to have a hard time taking out that dumpster.
Ooh.
They had a lot of dough.
I assume they had yeast and stuff in there, and it just made into a dumpster bread.
Do you try to roll that up or do you shovel it?
It's gonna be
Shovel,
sticky.
probably.
Is that dumpster ever going to be the same?
No. Although
Have you ever messed with pizza dough or bread dough? It's very, very sticky. You have to put a lot of
Yeah.
flour on it.
They're flouring their shovel.
Yeah.
to get it to not stick. That's amazing.
That's the real loser. There is the sanitation worker who has to come and pick that up. Although I guess they just use the hooks on the truck, right? They ignore what's on the ground.
I mean, that's still going to be a pain in the ass to get all the dough out of the dumpster, but maybe they just shake it for a while.
Well, it's easy for us to forget what happened in Hong Kong as we were all worried for our own health. But bad things happened in Hong Kong while we were not looking, while we were distracted. And those people are now in prison. And they have to deal with that. And it seems like they're getting treated pretty bad in prison.
China's national security says that they're threatened by Hong Kong prisoners' chocolates and hair clips. So it's like, yeah, oh, you were a dissident and you got caught with a hair clip or a chocolate? Get out.
Now, the argument by the Chinese authorities here is that the hair clips and chocolate are status symbols in prison, and by having them, you could bring other people into your ideologies. So that's why we have to
So
stop
they're going
it.
to remove them, and then something else will take their place. The way that ramen replaced cigarettes in our prisons.
I have a feeling the chocolates would be okay if the ideology was towing the line.
Yeah. That's 2 hair clips per 6 months, Krista. Could you make that work?
Wait, just not using hair clips, or?
Well, you get 2 per 6 months. If one of them breaks, then
I mean, I would be fine with that. I could deal with it.
what about the chocolate ration?
That would be rough. I feel like I would struggle on prison food anyway.
What about Chinese prison food is like? Engagement challenge. Have you been in a Chinese prison?
If so, you probably aren't commenting on this news broadcast.
I bet you don't get a lot of meat in a Chinese prison.
No, probably not. Probably a lot of rice and then some sort of topping, but I don't know.
Well, here's our woke nonsense of the week. I love these stories. God, they're just so good. People are racking their brains trying to think up ways to be sanctimonious. And I got to admit, I never would have thought of this one.
A Calgary professor won't use capital letters unless it's to acknowledge an Indigenous person or Indigenous people.
What if you don't know the race of the person?
Do you err on the side of lowercase letters?
But then if you get that wrong, you've offended the Indigenous people.
I don't know. You'd have to read this article to understand why he's crazy.
Now, Linda and CTV News threw her the courtesy of lowercasing her name. Linda Miniguns. Manyguns. Have you ever heard the name Miniguns?
No, I never
Do you
have.
think that's another political statement about gun violence or something?
Who knows?
Using capital letters is sympathetic to systems of oppression.
It's just how we deal with proper nouns.
I'm pretty
But-
sure if they were putting an intergalactic highway through here, there would be no point. It's just, yeah, it's fine. Just get us out of the way.
I would have a hard time arguing. It's like, is there someplace I could go and maybe just wait this out? I remember when, during the heat of the race struggles, a lot of news articles started uppercasing black.
Oh, yeah.
And then they caught feedback. It was like, well, why don't you uppercase white? So then they were doing that for a while. And then I don't know where that landed,
Apparently the reverse of this.
I guess. You create you separate them by treating them differently. I mean, that's kind of what we want to get
Just
away
pick
from.
a standard
right?
and pick it. And
But
use
that's racist now, Krista. It's our white privilege that teaches us that. I haven't quite figured it out. I assume because my white privilege is preventing that.
Yes, that is correct.
Well, the vaccine mandates, we just got another big wave of vaccine mandates yesterday, in our time at least. And they're getting crazier and crazier.
Rutgers University bans unvaxxed students from attending virtual classes. So if you're at home and you're isolating, you still gotta be.
Yeah, I've heard that this can spread over TCP. It's, the virus is so small. Not only can it get through the mask, but it can get through copper and fiber optic.
I really hope it doesn't mutate into a strain that starts mining Bitcoin on baby monitors in the Ukraine.
Well, that wouldn't be so bad. I'd take that over killing us. And finally, Lil Uzi Vert. You guys know about Lil Uzi Vert, right?
I feel like I've heard the name Lil Uzi, but maybe
Really?
that's a different artist.
Because I haven't. But Lil Uzi Vert decided to make a pretty extreme fashion choice here.
It's
That
a
is-
$24 million diamond.
Embedded into the forehead.
Wow.
Now-
Apply directly to the forehead.
What do you think happens when you embed something that's worth $24 million into your forehead?
A fan stole it. Yeah, that's Lil Uzi Vert says a fan ripped a $24 million diamond out of his forehead. So, wasn't there like a really famous story about a diamond heist? Is somebody going to write a story about this in a few years?
I hope not.
Is this like the world's largest diamond gets, it disappears and it becomes like two other diamonds? It's like a caper.
What?
That was the thing that happened. It was like a huge diamond was stolen and it disappeared, but they think that...
Is this a Pokemon storyline?
No.
They
it's
combine
like-
the diamonds?
I think it's from like the 1800s.
Sonic the Hedgehog. So, yeah, he did recover the diamond. Or maybe they never got it away from him. I wasn't clear on that. What the hell?
Oh, no.
Video.
We just click into there. I thought there was going to be another picture.
Okay.
Oh,
and,
very broken.
Hmm?
Keep going.
What'd you say?
I was just saying it was very broken.
No, you whispered something.
I said it's very broken.
Oh, the side,
Yeah.
So he recovered the diamond, but now it seems like he is not willing to wear it anymore on his forehead. He's
Yeah,
replaced
imagine-
it with a barbell, what does that look like?
I'm sure an engagement challenge will try to link us things below, but the algorithm will eat it. Don't worry.
He has a lot of face tattoos. That's probably not best decision making.
Would you say that Lil Uzi Vert might be seeking attention?
Maybe.
Perhaps.
Not even good tattoos. I'd almost be able to forgive it if they were good.
What's a good tattoo that you put on your face? Give me one example.
Literally, I'm the kind of person who I like tattoos on other people, but I am too picky, and I know I would hate one after like a month, so I will never get one.
Tomorrow I'm coming in with a face tattoo. What should it be to pass your
It
Lil
should be
Uzi
something
rules?
cool and artistic and that looks nice.
Like Mike
He
Tyson.
had one that just looked like a blob on the side of his face.
What do you think about Mike Tyson's face tattoos?
What does he have on his face?
He's got like a tribal thing over the whole side.
Tribal's kind of played out. That kind of played out in late 90s.
He did it a while back.
All right, that's all we got. We'll see you next week.
Bye.